Hello and welcome to the Trinity Stamps channel for another inspirational video. This is Jess Francisco and I'm excited to share a spooky cute slimline card with you today using a new stamp set from the September 2020 release. To get started with today's card, we're going to be doing a boatload of ink blending. I absolutely love using my Distress inks and Oxides. Today I'm going to be focusing on Distress Oxides. I'm starting with a very light or pale sort of tan color. This one is Antique Linen. Then I am moving into Scattered Straw, and then I will be doing a little bit of Dried Marigold as well. So I start down at the bottom. Just a note, I am making a slimline card today, so this is quite a bit longer than a traditional A2 size card. The measurements are seemingly up for debate about what size is actually a slimline card, but as long as it fits in a size 10 envelope, you should be good to go. Trinity does have some amazing slimline dies to take all of the questions and worries out of your card making process, so you can just go ahead and use those, and I'll have those linked below in case you guys would like to use those as well. For my ink blending here, like I said, I was moving through my colors. I went from Antique Linen to Scattered Straw to Dried Marigold and then jumped right into Seedless Preserves. The reason that I went in such a drastic change of color there is because I wanted to combine the lighter purple bits from my Seedless Preserves after the majority of the ink was off into my orangey sort of part of the sky down below. And that really gave a really nice sort of sun setting vibe with the wispy clouds. I don't know, I really like the way that that works and looks. So if you guys want to give that a try, definitely try and see what it looks like with different color combinations. I bet you'll come up with something gorgeous. I moved right along into Chipped Sapphire, and then I did also use some black soot around the edges. I did the same process here with my blending tool where I used the leftover blue ink from Chipped Sapphire and spread it into the ink from the Seedless Preserves, and that just gives it a really, really nice effect, in my opinion. It's all personal preference, so you do whatever you like best. This is what I liked, so I went with that. Now you can see I'm using a heart-shaped stencil here. This heart is actually from the Layered Heart stencil set from Trinity. Again, I'll have everything linked down below for you so you can check it out if you would like to. I did get a little bit of bleeding around the edge because I wasn't super careful with my ink blending, but I did go ahead and put a sequin on that at the end to cover it up, so no worries, no harm, no foul. If you ever have an accident like that, you can find creative ways to incorporate other things and still make your card work without having to start over. Now close your eyes. This might offend some people or send you to I don't even know where in your crafty Zen place. You might not be there anymore after seeing what I just did. I went ahead and cut apart this stamp. This is a long stamp intended for a slimline card that probably goes horizontally, but I wanted to use it vertically and I didn't want to have to take it out and worry about restamping it in multiple times and moving my cardstock and all of that. So I just cut it. There was nice big spaces in between. And if I want to put it back together, I can easily do that and I can still use it for a slimline card going the opposite direction. But this just gave me some more options and allowed me to get a little bit more creative with my card making. Now, obviously this here says Trick or Treat. I think this is so super cute, and especially over this blended background, it's just adorable. I absolutely love that. I stamped it several times using the Ink on 3 Blackout ink just to make sure I got a nice crisp and dark appearance with my stamping. You do want to be careful when you're stamping on top of Distress Oxides, especially if they're not dry, if they haven't been sitting for a little while after you do your ink blending. They do have a little bit of a chalky sort of finish on top, like more similar to a pigment ink. And sometimes that can affect when you are stamping or coloring over top of them. So if you are having trouble and you're not getting a good stamped impression, wait a little bit or use a heat tool and dry the inks, and it should work a little bit better. Here I'm showing you the stencil set that I use, and I'm actually going to go ahead and use the reverse image, or the stencil part that's actually part of a larger stencil still instead of the negative image that was cut out. And I'm basically using this as a mask. So I wanted that heart to act as a moon for me. So I think it's really cool to get creative and use other shapes than just a circle for the moon. And I thought this heart would be super cute and kind of lend a cuter vibe to our card rather than being completely spooky. So I'm using scattered straw and then going over that with a dried marigold, not making a perfect blend here. I wanted it to be sort of splotchy and imperfect because the moon is not just one solid color. And that really worked out well. I think I like the way that that turned out. And then I removed the stencil and I went ahead and just did a little bit of blending around the outside to give that area a bit of glow. You can totally skip this step if you want to. It's absolutely not necessary. But I just liked the way that it looked to add just that little bit of soft light around the moon. And that was it. Easy peasy, didn't take much time, and there it's done. All right, so the next step here is going to be to add our cute little witch. Now, the way that this stamp is set up is, I think it's supposed to be where you can kind of put all of the little characters in a line and have them running across your card, but I wanted the little witch to be flying across the moon. Now, when I first looked at it, I thought, maybe this won't work exactly because she does look like she's running. She has her legs kind of in that position where it does look like a running pose. But then I thought if I just turn her sideways a little bit so she's angled down, it actually does look like she's flying on the broom. And I feel like that is just so perfect. I think sometimes we get too trapped in our heads about how a certain image should look or should be used. And if we let go, we have so much more creative freedom and we can change things up and really get the most out of our stamps. So I did that. I turned her a little bit sideways. And now she looks like she's swooping across the moon, and I think she's absolutely perfect. I did go ahead, like I said before, stamp this several times to make sure I got a nice stamped and dark, crisp impression. And then that is it for that. You can see down at the bottom, I did go ahead and add the cute little spider hanging from the T. And on a stamp or some sort of card project, that's the only place I'm going to say a spider is cute. In real life, I'd be running for the door. To finish off the card, I did go ahead and mount this to my card base here. So I'm just using a tape glider, which is a double-sided adhesive, and then attaching that to a white card base. I really like the white border around this just because I think it makes it pop a lot more. But if you prefer to have your whole background, your scene, that is fine too. You can just not trim your panel down like I did. I did go ahead and use some clear sequins here at the end to embellish the card a little bit. You can see I added that top sequin right on top of my little blotch where I had an with my ink blending at the beginning, and you can't even tell when it's all said and done. I went ahead and used a liquid adhesive to attach those sequins to the card, and that finished it off, you guys. I really hope that you loved today's project. It was super simple, super quick, and easy to put together, and you don't need a lot of supplies, which is sometimes just a relief to not have to use a ton of different stuff and still be able to make a beautiful card. If you guys have questions or would like to know anything about my card making process, definitely drop a comment down below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss a video, and we'll see you again in the next one really soon.